So the Sony A7 IV has quickly become one of my most favorite cameras for 2022. And as most of you know, I did come from the Canon R6 and switched over to Sony. So I thought for today's video, it'd be a fun topic to talk about my favorite accessories that I use at every single wedding with the Sony A7 IV. But before we dive into that, if you are new here, this channel is all about giving you the confidence to lean into a full-time career as a wedding filmmaker. So if you are into that sort of thing, it would mean so much if you consider subscribing. First up on the accessory list is going to be the SmallRig Cage. This is part 2999. One reason why I chose this cage was because it also works on the Sony A7S III. And I wanted to have something that was more universal across multiple systems. But other than it also being great for the A7S III, there's also a couple reasons why I love having a cage on my camera in general, and that is because it turns my camera into a modular system where I can add different accessories and tools and things to really help me in my wedding filmmaking process. It definitely helps your camera become more versatile and productive. One of the features that I personally love the most on the SmallRig is on the bottom of the SmallRig, you have a small Allen key, which is super handy and useful, especially if you are in a pinch and you need a quick solution to tighten any base plates. You have this right on the bottom of your camera, which I thought was just such a nice added touch. And then of course you have a cold shoe mount on the top of the cage, and then several mounting points in adding a lot of different accessories that we're gonna go over today. So the second accessory is going to be the SmallRig Top Handle. There's a couple different routes you can take when it comes to choosing your top handle. I voted for the one with the clamp as well as the RE mount in the front for a monitor. So really the reason for getting a clamp over the traditional screws is really just setup time. I found that with having the screws, I was spending a lot more time setting up my camera and I was wasting a lot of time on the wedding day. So having a solution like this, where it is as simple as just attaching it to the NATO rail on the SmallRig Cage and tightening the knob like such, and then you are good. It is as simple as that to get you from A to Z as quickly as possible. This top handle also has a cold shoe mount on top, as well as several mounting points. And then it also has another Allen key that you can pull out to tighten any screws and use as needed. So that is another handy tool with the top handle, which brings me to the next accessory, which is going to be the monitor mount. This one obviously is an RE mount so that it can easily attach to the face of my top handle like such. And then with the Allen key on the top handle, I just take this off and tighten it down so it doesn't loosen. So this monitor mount will hold up to 7-inch screens and is pretty self-explanatory. I will say one of the biggest game changers for me in my filmmaking process is having a monitor of sorts during the wedding day. Relying solely on the LCD will certainly get you by, but having an extra support to your visuals is really something that you should consider so that you're able to really dial in your settings and get the look that you're going for without really second guessing your shots just off of the LCD. Which brings me to the fourth accessory, and that is my field monitor. This one is the Feelworld F6 Plus. And I was honestly quite surprised with this monitor. I didn't think I would really love it as much as I do. And that's primarily just because of its versatility. Being that it is a touchscreen monitor, it allows for 4K HDMI output. The battery life is really good, and the battery component, you can actually use Canon LPE6 batteries or the Sony NPF batteries, which is what I primarily use with this monitor. Another promising feature is that it's super lightweight, which is great because with this kind of setup, you don't want to add anything that is too heavy because you are going to be hauling it around all day. So you want to try to stay as lightweight and compact as possible. I can get about 5 to 6 hours of runtime with the Sony batteries, but with the LPE6s, it is a little bit less, but still I can get through an entire wedding day with just 2 batteries, which is pretty good for an external monitor. But I am just really happy with the Feelworld, being that it is super versatile and budget friendly. You can pick one of these up for about $200 on Amazon, which compared to a lot of the other high-end monitors out there, that really is a steal. So if you are in the market for an external monitor, I highly recommend the Feelworld F6. All right, and next up on my accessory list is probably one of my favorites, and that is the SmallRig side grip with the remote trigger. This side grip is probably my favorite for a couple obvious reasons. One being the remote trigger so that I can easily start and stop recording at the click of a button. I mean, my hand is already rested on the grip, so having that start and stop feature is really useful. It also has a cold shoe mount along with 3 mounting points and another slot for an Allen key. So you are an endless supply of Allen keys when it comes to SmallRig products. One of the most useful reasons to get a side grip is, of course, to add more control and stability to your camera system. Especially if you are a handheld filmmaker or you just feel more comfortable going handheld, or you're trying to transition into doing more handheld stuff, having a side grip is going to help you be more stable. It's going to help you be more fluid with your movement. And it's one of the key factors into how I get my stable handheld shots on a wedding day. So if you are in the market for one, obviously I prefer the remote trigger with just the convenience factor of start and stop, but there are other options out there, and some that I do highly recommend. This one is just my favorite by far. All right, next up is my audio solution. Now, most weddings, I'm not always running an on-camera microphone. Half the time, I'm usually just going with the internals. But I will say, if you want a little bit extra quality in your scratch audio and your ambient audio, I do highly recommend getting an on-camera microphone that you can use, especially in the event that, say, something happens to your recorders. Having a little bit more professional sound in camera is never a bad idea. So I am using the D3 Pro by Deity, and I run this one on my A7IV, and then I have a Rode VideoMic Pro Plus on the A7S III. And the main reason why I am running with the Deity version is really because of its versatility. With the stepless gain on the back, I can easily adjust my gain without having any kind of interference or unwanted sound in my audio. It also has the auto on-off feature, which I love, similar to the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. And it's just really versatile for my end use, being that I can use it on a wedding day, I can use it for YouTube videos like this, I can use it as a shotgun mic. It is very versatile in the way it can be used, and is always something that I'm looking for whenever I go to purchase a product, is the versatility. Now, compared to the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, really the biggest difference is going to be the price. With the D3 Pro, you can purchase one of these for about $139, and then the Rode VideoMic Pro is around $229. So almost $100 difference between these two microphones. And when it comes to quality, there's not much difference that I have noticed. I will do a more in-depth test down the road, but if you are looking to save some money, I do highly recommend the D3 Pro. All right, and last but not least is, of course, lighting. And one of the most recent additions to my gear bag, and that is the Lume Cube Panel Pro. I've had the chance to use both the Panel Pro and the Panel Go, which is basically the baby brother to the Panel Pro. And both of these lights are just really well made, well constructed. They are super bright, and they have several awesome uses for wedding filmmakers. One of the main uses that I use this light for is, of course, at receptions. I just simply attach it to my cold shoe on my side grip, and I am using it for the dancing to get some nice front light on my subject's face. And then, of course, for the couple's send-off, I'm using it as a front light as they are walking down, and I'm able to get some really awesome results from it. The Panel Pro, it is about the size of a smartphone, which again is catering to the lightweight compact size for my camera system, keeping everything very minimal and compact, and staying lightweight is again such a huge benefit. Because you're on your feet for 10 hours a day, having a system like this, if it's like 50 pounds in your hands, obviously that's gonna just kill your arms at the end of the day. So I like the Panel Pro and the Go because they are lightweight, they are compact, and they really pack a mighty punch when it comes to lighting. I personally would choose the Panel Pro over the Go version based on the Bluetooth connectivity that the Panel Pro offers. Having that flexibility of wirelessly controlling your light from the convenience of a smartphone is such a helpful feature. As far as battery life, the battery life you get less than 2 hours in both of these lights. With the Panel Pro, I noticed at 100% intensity, you get about 1.8 hours. And with the Panel Go, you get about 1.3 hours at 100% intensity. For reception, sometimes they are at least 2 to 3 hours in length, but as long as you're being mindful with the shots that you get, you can still navigate an entire reception and send off with just one battery. But if you want a bit more runtime with this light, it does charge via USB-C, so you can plug and play and use this light while it is charging, which is another added benefit. So if you are looking for an on-camera light to help stylize your reception shots and your send-off, I do recommend the Panel Pro based off of the Bluetooth connectivity feature, based on the brightness output that is a little bit more than the Panel Go, and then of course the longer battery life as well. It is a super intuitive, lightweight solution for wedding filmmakers and one that I do recommend. So if you are interested, you can find the link in the description below, as well as more information on this light at LumeCube directly. All right, guys, well, that is the end of this week's video. Thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you found this video helpful and valuable in some way. If you did, it would mean so much if you consider liking and subscribing and leave me a comment. Let me know if there's anything in particular that you saw that you're using. Is there a certain SmallRig Cage setup that you find more useful and beneficial for your setup? Feel free to send me a picture. I'd love to check out your setup. Either way, I'd love to hear from you guys. So until next time, keep creating and telling beautiful stories. Peace.